Imagine your conception is rape, and then as you're living your childhood, you're experiencing lots of hatred and anger, and then war, where you end up in a refugee camp. Then you decide the way to stop that is to take a vow of chastity, poverty. And how do you move forward from that? How do you find a love within yourself? How do you recognize that you're actually being driven by hate and overcome that? This is the story of Helena Summer.
Welcome to eSHAIR.care, an all-inclusive community sharing experience, strength, and hope to create strong, healthy, and inspiring relationships. eSHAIR.care communities work toward every individual feeling safe, valued, and heard, free from the threat of danger, pain, or harm. Each episode, founder Damian Andrews explores the principles underpinning eSHAIR.care and invites expert special guests to share their knowledge so you can easily reap the benefits so many others experience. You hold the choice to create your future. Let it be with strong, healthy, and inspiring relationships.
Hello and welcome to eSHAIR. Here we discuss, promote, and share the benefits to all from living in an egalitarian society, including for men. Inaccurate propaganda leads some men to believe that they miss out with equality. The reality, suppressing women is detrimental to men. Creating a world where everyone can contribute equally makes everyone better off. Now, today it is my great pleasure to welcome Helena Summer. Helena firmly believes successful people can have it all, including a magical, passionate, and fulfilling love life. She shows people how to realign their works to get the best out of their relationship. Helena is an advocate that a healthier perception of self is a superpower that makes your external expectations come alive. Welcome, Helena. And how did I do the second time around?
Great job. Love it. Thank you.
It's a wonderful pleasure to have you on the show, and I do appreciate it. And for the audience, we did have a trial run, and I had a little thing pop up in front of my script, and I buffed it up majorly, and I really thought it was important to have a wonderful introduction for Helena, so we did a take two, which I don't normally do. But Helena, it's so wonderful to have you on the show. You have such a vibrant smile. As we do at the start of these shows, we jump in what I call the Wayback Machine, and you might remember a movie called Back to the Future, and there was a DeLorean where Doc Brown invented and hit 88 miles an hour, go back in time. Can you jump in that? And we go back in time, exactly, and take us to your, some of your history, some of the challenges that you faced and overcome to lead to what you're doing now.
Okay, so how pathetic and dramatic we want to go?
Oh, as far as you'd like to go. We can go anywhere. It is your story, and it's your time machine. You can set it to whatever date you want, and we'll hit the throttle, and we'll just go back in time.
Okay, so we can do it in a tragical way, in a comedic way, in a dangerous way.
Let's get the story up. Let's start with a bit of where it started, and a bit of drama in there, and bit of tragedy, bit of risk. Let's explore that.
Once upon a time, on the other side of the time machine, there was this young, smart, intelligent woman. She was studying to be professor of physics and mathematics, and she got seduced by this nobody guy.
Ooh.
She realized she doesn't want to be with him. He raped her. And that's the day when this girl here was conceived.
Wow.
Yes, but this girl here is kind of cool and smart. Yeah. And she used that later on in life after healing the trauma from it. She used it actually as a post-traumatic growth, post-traumatic transformation. So this is one of the cool things. Many people have experienced sexual unwillingness to participate,
Mm-hmm.
and can carry it as a trauma, especially if they have a child born from it.
Yes.
I was that baby. However, I learned so much through knowing the history, and it got me to want to be the first woman in my lineage who actually did not have such experiences, even though I did too. But the flipping over it, I really think it actually changes the time machine in real time. So I love that you asked for a time machine. So that's where it all started. And then I was not alone. I had a twin sister.
Right.
I still have a twin sister. There is one more of me somewhere in the world.
Identical?
Yeah. No. We are they're now very different, 100% opposite. So there's no one more of me, unfortunately. I wish to have, like, hey, you do the podcast, I'm going on the beach.
I've always wondered that myself. If I could have two of me or more, would be great.
Double danger.
Yes.
So basically, one of the interesting things was that my whole life, I did not understand joy or happiness or safety. I never felt safe. As a result of that, I was very shy, very introverted, extremely self-conscious. I would apologize for anything. I apologize for the rain. I apologize for the bus being late. I believed that the whole world is my fault.
Right.
It was really, really kind of interesting now when I watch how I used to be. And then, of course, I was bullied by bullies in the school and all of this. It's all like a pattern repeats itself once you embrace the victim mentality.
Yeah.
Life presents you and you just go back to victim because that felt familiar.
Yeah.
And familiarity feels safe.
Yeah.
Even though it's not safe, it feels like that's what I know. Right?
Yeah.
So one day, war started in my country.
Yeah.
And I was 16 years old at the time. My brother was 19. He was on the front line. My twin sister and I were separated.
Yeah.
She was refugee in Hungary, and I was refugee in Croatia.
Right.
My mother stayed in occupied town. My grandma's house was bombed with 4 bombs, and my grandma survived.
Wow.
She was in the kitchen. She survived.
The safest place.
Right? Kitchen. We still have one of the bombs leftovers. She used it as like when the bomb explodes, there is this part that is left. So she used it as a door, holding the door, and sometimes she talked to it like, hey, what? You could not get me. I don't take you seriously.
Wow.
And my best friend died.
Oh, wow.
So I was stuck in a refugee camp by myself with no family, no money, no ID, no food. I only had clothes on me. I didn't know where is anyone. It was 1991. You don't have the phone or anything.
Yeah.
So that was actually the best thing that ever happened to me.
Really? Wow. I'm sure the audience would like to hear more about that. How that was the best thing.
It was the best and the worst thing at the same time.
Right.
You know how some people get cancer and that wakes them up?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was my awakening.
Oh. Do you want to talk us through how you went through that awakening?
Yes. So when I came there, I was just looking at all these refugees. They were, oh my gosh, they were gray faces, gray hairs, gray dull eyes. There is some really serious pain that a person can freshly carry from trauma, who came from burned villages or watching their loved ones being slaughtered or something, right? It was really heavy to be around them. And I was kind of accidentally there
Mm.
because I was not from a burned village or a house or a town. I
Mm.
was there because the railroad got bombed, so I could not return home.
Mm.
My hometown was occupied anyway, so I could not be back. But
Mm.
still, it was really weird. And I remember I look around and I'm like, I have nothing, nothing. It's almost the moment when you lose your identity, when you lose your any power or certainty you may have had.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, I have nothing. And then the mini awakening happened.
Yeah.
I have my heart.
Oh.
That's mine. I have it. And then the bigger awakening happened.
Mm-hmm.
But my heart is full of hatred.
Okay.
I hate war. I hate men. I hate my father. I hate Serbians. I hate this insanity.
Yeah.
I hate myself.
Ah.
And from there, the real awakening happened. And that's when I realized I am part of the problem.
Ah. What part of the problem were you?
The hatred,
Ah.
insanity
Yeah.
of the war. War is insanity.
Mm.
You have kids you went to school with. Their parents used to give you cookies, and now they're shooting at us.
Mm.
Neighbors, right? And this is complete insanity. And when I realized that my energy is
Mm-hmm.
contributing to it,
Yeah.
from hating myself to hating them, whoever them is, I actually realized that there was no them. It was only me consenting to that same energy that I despise.
That's really
I say again.
I was going to say that's really powerful that you're saying that you recognize that you had hatred as well, which was contributing to that whole scenario.
Yeah.
What was that feel
And
like to recognize that?
the first awakening, but I have my heart, felt kind of like I'm so cool.
Yeah.
But my heart is full of hatred, felt full of shame.
Yeah.
And I am part of the problem, felt helpless
Mm.
and hopeless,
Mm.
but clear. There was some hope. There was some spaciousness was created. Because even though I didn't know what to do with that fact, I'm a 16-year-old. What do I know about life? Right?
We all think we do at that age. We know everything. I did.
Thank
Anyway,
you.
that was my story. I
Right.
thought I knew everything.
Yeah. So it was really nice to the feeling was like you birthing yourself like a chick going out, breaking the egg from inside to
Mm.
get more space. So this is how it actually felt.
Is that like, because I mean, from that perspective, you, as you say, you, if I heard correctly, you said you felt helpless. And in that circumstances, it would be really, you would feel helpless because what can you do with all this stuff going on? You know, you can't really pull any triggers. So there would be a helplessness about that. But it sounds like you found something above feeling helpless that you could contribute by changing how you thought about yourself and in respect of the hatred as well. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yes. However, at that stage, I was not yet at the point of changing anything.
Right.
This was just like a big aha that sits you on the ground and you're like, wow.
Mm.
You know, we were in a moment of, wow, I don't know what I'm going to do with this information, but I am part of the problem. I am just like them. They are shooting at us. I am shooting at me.
Yeah.
I had a war in my head. I had a war in my heart. I had a war in my words, in my behavior. Remember, like my whole life until 16, I was not a happy person. a happy child, a happy girl, a happy anything. I was smart. I was intelligent. I was good at school, but I was playing stupid
Mm,
because if I'm stupid, bullies will not hurt me as much
yeah.
because I was thinking out too much what I believed,
Yeah.
right? So all of this identity of self was completely weird
Mm,
until that came clarity. I am part of the problem. It's very empowering to
mm,
know that it's me, not me as a poor me, but wow, like wow, I got keys of the car, and
mm.
I'm the car, and I'm the key, like,
Yeah.
and I'm the driver. Like, wow, what do I do now with that? But it's come on, let
Yeah.
me soak it.
That's amazing. And from that perspective, because you're saying you didn't, have a high opinion of yourself, and you talked about from, if I heard that correctly, your conception was your mum being raped, if I understand that correctly. How did you learn about that? I mean, is that something that your mum, talked to you about, or how did you find out, or how did that affect you, that connection?
So I was maybe 8, and I was very, very curious,
Hmm.
always looking around and finding things and like very, very curious. So one day, it was just before Christmas, and I was searching for gifts,
Hmm.
trying to find out what mom gave us for Christmas.
Yeah.
And I found this notebook.
Right.
And I have an older brother
Mm.
already. My mom had him. Uh, and that also was the same conception, but it was not written in the diary. But for us, my sister and I, she was writing because I cannot tell this to anyone,
Right.
because there was a huge level of shame because my grandfather told her she wanted to leave him.
Mhm.
She actually left him and
Yeah.
left my brother to my grandparents
Mm.
in another town, and she would work through the week and
Yeah.
on weekends go to another town to be with her son and my grandma and my grandpa. So my father came and begged her to come back, and he said to my grandfather, if tell her please to come back, and if I will be the same idiot again, you please kill me.
Really?
My grandpa said, deal. So my grandpa was like a 52 or something, and my father was like 25. Of
Yeah.
course, a 50-year-old man has so much more power over some little 25-year-old, right?
Yeah.
So my grandpa said, deal. And he cracked his bone by
Yeah.
making the shake hand.
Yeah.
So my mom knew if she tells anything to grandpa, he would kill him.
Yeah.
My mom didn't want him to go to jail. So
Right.
she set it up, but she had to share. So she shared it with diary.
Okay.
And
And
that's how I'm reading that. And
you discovered the diary and were reading that. What was that like to have that experience, to read that and learn that about, your history and your family? Talk us through what that felt like. I mean, at
I,
8
I,
years old, I
I
mean,
don't
what sort of comprehension would you have had?
exactly, I don't remember much,
Mm.
but I remember that I should not tell about this diary to anyone ever.
Right.
Maybe a couple of years ago, first time I told my mom about it.
Mhm.
And she kind of dismissed the conversation, and I dismissed.
Mhm.
It's such a taboo-ish topic, but I want to ask her again
Yeah.
because I want to know more before she dies. I mean, she's fine. She's not planning to die, but you never know. There
Yeah.
are some secrets and something I would love to know that went to grave with my grandmother,
Yeah.
and nobody will ever find out. So I remember it was just, of course, her handwriting was cursive, adult cursive handwriting. Some things were written very, very in a very tiny letters, crossing the words. You can tell she was writing and crying. You
Uh,
can tell there was pain on these pages. I
yeah.
didn't read everything like you read a book. I
Mhm.
would go through, and when I see my name or my brother's name or some familiar word, I will go through it more deeper.
Yeah.
But that part of that rape repeated couple of times through the thing, and I did not even understand what that means.
So was her husband, was it your dad? Because they had a relationship, but it sounds like it wasn't a very happy relationship. In if I'm
A little happy. So miserable, pure
yeah.
misery. Yeah.
So from that, I mean, do you think from that perspective, from your and have you talked to your mum about having read that? Did you ever talk to
One
her
time.
about that one time? And
One
was
time I brought it up, but she dismissed it and I dismissed it. It's such a taboo energy.
yeah,
It's so hard to bring it up. And anytime I bring him up, she really let go. She doesn't remember many of the things that I remember as a child
right.
when we were, you know, we divorced when we were 13. I always say we because it was like family against him. It
Yeah,
feels like we divorced him, not her.
yeah.
Uh, so a couple of times I mentioned something about that age,
Mm,
13. And she's like, I really don't remember. Like, I really. So I believe she shut it down to survive. Survival's ability
yeah.
sometimes requires to, denial is a great coping mechanism.
It's not just a river in Egypt, correct?
Yes.
It isn't like, do you think from the writing it out as well, the fact that she say she doesn't remember it, it sounds like, I'm reading into this a little bit that she moved on with her life. And but it sounds like, do you think writing that out was a cathartic experience where it helped release some of that? Was that something do you think helped?
Definitely. Definitely. Because I started writing when it was hard for me. When
Mm,
my life was hard, I started writing
right.
because I also had nobody to share. Because the shame is so big, you don't think you are worthy of
Mhm.
sharing with anyone. And I know because there were drops. You can see the tear on the paper
Yeah.
makes it wet and ink melts.
Mm,
So a couple of pages, there were drops here and there. And when I was writing mine, there
mm.
were drops of tears too.
Wow.
And I would go back to, oh, how must she have felt?
Yeah,
Like, wow. Mm.
that's amazing. And so from that, I mean, because you were 8 years old then, and then you went. You were talking about when you were 16 at school, and you're playing because you're a smart woman. So, but you said you were playing dumb so that you weren't bullied as much. Talk us through a little bit about that. What was that like, being at school and going through this identity of not liking yourself?
I was smart. Cognitively,
Mm,
I worked very well.
mhm.
But the system that was using my intelligence was a system for basic survival.
Right.
So when bullies would say something to me, I would calculate very quickly, do I have enough calories to do what they're asking me to do?
Mhm.
Or I have more calories so I can fight or run or do something else.
Yeah.
And I would calculate what I can do and what, so to say, they are worthy
Mm.
of me giving to them. So it was very calculative. I remember that's probably what helped me when they were beating me physically, that
Mm.
I would feel the physical pain
Yeah.
because I was very much, of course, evacuated,
Yeah.
but also calculating. Okay, so I'm going to put up with this for 5-10 minutes and
Mhm.
then I'm going to be free for whatever time.
Right.
Or I will be trying to push them away all day long. Which
Right.
one works better for my capacity, the current capacity of calories that I have?
Wow. And
Mm.
then, as you say, you became a war refugee. You and was that because you know? with the war happening, then you became a refugee, and then you wrote about you ran away from the refugee camp to become a nun because you thought you could stop the war. If I read this correctly, you thought you could stop the war through celibacy, simplicity, and poverty. Is that correct?
Yes.
In the first part, how does celibacy stop the war?
Well,
I
okay,
mentioned a
so
whole lot, but the first part stands out.
of course, everybody loves that part. Like you said, yes, I look like this, but I am very, I have another side to me. Um, so basically, in the Bible, it says, if your faith is the size of mustard seed, you can move the mountains.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
And I was like, my faith is 2 mustard seeds. I can stop the war.
Yeah.
And I was convinced I can stop the war. It's just a war.
Yeah.
This happened after my awakening that I was the part of the problem.
Yeah.
So if I can stop the war in my head, I can stop the war in the world.
Yeah.
Of course, I could not stop the war in my head at that time, not yet. And I could not stop the war, the war in Croatia. But I got like a good spa and the power I never felt.
Yeah.
I grew up with my mother, who was a victim of my father. I was a victim of his too, and a victim of the Billies. There was a lot of victim.
Yeah.
Being alone in a refugee camp, witnessing this heavy gray victim energy,
Mm.
got me to see like, whoa, this is me. I don't want this.
Yeah.
So one night, like a 3 o'clock or whatever in the morning, there was this weeping, the most terrible screaming, painful weeping
Mhm.
that came from some other side of the refugee camp because the baby, how you call it, froze to death.
Oh.
It was cold and baby died.
Yeah.
So I never saw that baby, but I heard the news.
Mm.
The news came, the baby, blah, blah, blah. Then the second wave of news came. It's this girl and that, blah, blah, blah. You hear, people are sharing. What
Yeah.
happened? What happened?
Yeah.
And then the third wave said, oh, she should have covered the baby better. Mother was like 19, 21, whatever.
Yeah.
And this whole mentality of you should,
Mm.
this is when I had enough.
Yeah.
That was the ignition into me, like, no. Awakening moment was a couple of days prior.
Yeah.
And I was just watching how I'm part of all of this.
Mm.
And because of me, there is war. Remember, I told you I used to apologize for everything.
Yeah.
That was my. I was guilty for the war, but this time I really kind of owned it with empowering in empowering way.
Mhm.
And then this baby thing, and this whole what people were saying, it got me to be like, okay, why did you, God, do this to a baby? Why not me? I'm
Mm.
a sinner. Baby is innocent. You, God, I need to find you and kick your butt. I'm a 16-year-old girl with
Yeah.
a mission.
Yeah.
I remember my last breakfast, 1 slice of bread with margarine on top of it.
Yeah.
I get my breakfast, off I go. I ran out of refugee camp. I didn't know if I should go left or right. I didn't know anything. I just got out of there and I stopped all the people I could see on the streets.
Yeah.
Excuse me, where is God? Excuse me, where is God? I'm gonna find the God. I don't know. I don't know anything about God. I grew up in communistic Yugoslavia at the time, right? That was a church was forbidden. This was all forbidden.
Yes.
If my mom would go to church, she would get fired.
Wow.
So I never I didn't know much about God, but I guess God is somewhere. So I
Yeah.
asked people, and they say, in the church, in the Bible, in your heart, everywhere, in the nature. I'm like, show me, God, we need to do some business. So it was getting later and later, and I was getting cold, and I needed to pee, and I was hungry. And then there were these three glowing women.
Yeah.
And they were walking towards me, and I was walking towards them. And I said, excuse me, where is God?
Yeah.
And they said, why you ask us? And I'm like, you're not special. I ask everyone. I need God. We need some business together. They said, come on.
Yeah.
They were nuns.
Yes.
And this is how I learned about celibacy, for example.
Mm-hmm.
It's a path of purity.
Yeah.
If you have a commitment to purity,
Mm-hmm.
in my mind, you can stop the war. So I can stop the war with celibacy.
Yes.
Virtue, chastity, those are qualities that are not very common. And if you have them, people think you are some, Amish or whatever, right?
Yeah.
It's not valued.
Mm.
So I was like, okay, the world doesn't have that. Yes, that's for me.
Yeah.
Plus, my father was, he had so many girlfriends and affairs, and I don't even want to go there. So for me, anything opposite from my father can stop the war.
Now it's making sense. Yes.
Yeah. And he had a day job, but his night job, he was some kind of mafia.
Oh, okay.
He literally slept on cash, this much cash. Not under the whole bed, but the corner, like maybe 1/4 of the bed, this much cash.
Wow.
We were hungry children, but he was sleeping on cash. So, sex, celibacy, yes, because he was opposite of him, right? The whole money and the wealth, poverty, yes, I'm going to embrace that. Because we were victims of his stinginess. But if I have a vow of poverty, I'll change the world.
Yeah. And he can't have it because it's your choice.
Exactly. And it's pure, right? And simplicity. Simple living, high thinking.
Yeah.
If your mind can be simple.
Yeah.
Simplicity is so freeing.
Mm.
You can think of other things.
Yeah.
Have to, like before our show, I was like, is my hair good? That's simplicity. Over there, we just wear a hair in a ponytail.
Yeah.
Like that's it. No, nothing, no makeup, no nothing. Simple life.
Yeah.
It was very, very simple. So simplicity, celibacy, and poverty, I believe that can help me. So I embrace that life.
Karen, and how long did you stay there with the nuns? I'm assuming it's a monastery you're at. Is that correct? Or
Well, yes and no. That's a part I don't like sharing about because something tragic and traumatic happened there.
No.
So on one side, it saved my life. Really, I learned how to be a person. I learned how to talk calmly. I learned how to trust life. I learned how to be happy. I learned how to live. But on the other side, the trauma that happened also gets me like, oh. So I still value what happened, but I don't want to share the details of the path. I kind of feel it saved my life, but it also ruined other things. So I just kind of keep that in a little like a.
It sounds like it was really.
Yes.
You're saying it saved your life. It sounds.
It did.
Yeah, there was that experience. Well, so you were at the monastery, and you have this, your life saved experience, which has a double-edged sword to that. what was then, so what was the impetus to then move away from that? What drove you to want to go from there? Was that the trauma that was there, or was it you'd saved yourself, so it was like, okay, now I can move on? What was what why did you move on and change from the celibacy, the simplicity and poverty?
Two reasons. One reason is I learned too much.
Mm-hmm.
Any human organized religion,
Mm.
as you said, it's a double-edged sword.
Mm-hmm.
So I learned too much. I learned what is a business of selling God.
Right.
It's a business,
Mm-hmm.
and we are free laborers.
Right.
And so, when I first entered that life, it was life altering. It was, thank you. If I had to live my life again, the same life, I would definitely not skip this part.
Right. Even with all the trauma.
Whew, it's so much more benefits than trauma.
Right.
The reason one was I learned too much.
Mm.
And I became like, I'm a little controversial the way I think and how I look at things. So I became dangerous because I would speak what I saw.
Yeah.
I was not hush hush.
Yes.
I was like, wait, that's not according to what the scriptures say. Like, wait, why this? So I asked too many questions.
Yeah.
I asked too much. And they saw I don't have I was not able to be the robotically,
Just follow. Yeah.
yes, I did not follow the rules too much. And the second reason is I already was 21 and I never had a kiss.
Oh.
I wanted to feel a man. I wanted somebody to hold me. I wanted man hands on me.
Yeah.
Like, I really wanted, like, how does a kiss feel?
Yeah.
Like, I want a kiss.
Yeah.
So because it was against celibacy vow,
Yeah.
I felt kind of dirty that I could not keep my vows.
Okay. Yeah.
I started having dreams of men. I started really, like, I would look at men, and like, we were not allowed to look at men in the eyes.
Yeah.
And if you talk to a man, you look down on the ground, you talk only about service, and you don't smile, no flirting, no nothing, just simple.
Mm.
And you'd say, let's say, we need 20 pounds of flour for the kitchen. Okay, thank you. Bye. In the room, if you talk in the room, never close doors. Even with your brother or relatives or anyone, you were not allowed to have eye to eye, to smile, to flirt, nothing.
Wow.
So, yeah. So when I would sometimes just to see men's shoes, big shoes, like, and I would notice my mind was not able to be service, prayer, focus. Like my mind was, and I didn't want to stop it. I just felt so.
How was that? So from that perspective, you felt, as you said, you felt dirty because you were thinking these things, but then you decided that's what you wanted to do, and you moved out. Is that what was that difficult to make that step and just go, let's move out? How long
Extremely
did it take?
difficult because you just move out. You become how you call it, excommunicated, excommunicated, whatever.
Is that?
You become kicked out.
Mm.
Because especially me, I did not have my tongue was very wild. I would speak what I'd see. So
Yeah.
I was kind of dangerous for like a whistleblower
Yeah.
in some way. So they didn't want me to be around too much. So they were happy for me to leave. And then there was propaganda about me. Oh, and they kind of made you really dirty, like, oh, she was lusty, she wanted some man, but like stuff like that. It was just kind of like all the people that I had that I loved so much,
Mm.
suddenly, look at you. So many people interviewed me on that. Nobody could dig that out of me. You are a great interviewer. Wow.
Well, I wanted to get into the
I
part because
just
you talked
told
about.
myself, like, wait, I'm talking about the dark side that I don't want to share, and I'm sharing.
Thank you.
Good job. Are you a CIA agent secretly?
No. I'm just curious because that's part of what I wanted to understand. You talked about, and I mean, I connect to what you were saying because you said about being controversial, and you asked, and I'm making notes here as well. So, you said you asked too many questions, is what I've got written down here, and I relate to that because I mean, my mum was very much like that. She asked a lot of questions, um, and I asked a lot of questions growing up. So I was really intrigued to know where that came from your perspective. This, you were controversial and you looked at something and said, "Oh, you're saying to do that, but the scripture that you're following says do the opposite. What's going on?" And you had the courage to ask those questions. So I wanted to get one, where did that curiosity come from? And also to the courage to ask those questions. Do you remember where that might have come from? Yeah.
Yes. Curiosity came, I guess, from my DNA. When I was very young, maybe I was 7, I learned to read. I don't think I was yet 6 years old when I learned to read.
Right. Okay.
And I was asking my mom, why is this anything? Why is the sky blue? Anything. I ask anything. Why is this becoming that? And why dogs don't grow past this size? And why does this? And she bought me 3 books. One was 1000 Whys, 1000 Because. Another book was 1000 Where, 1000 There. And
We
one
just
was
added more zeros to the questions. Is that right?
yeah. And she's like, read this.
Yes.
And they were little, like this much, maybe like one or two small paragraphs as the answer.
Yes.
Oh my God, I ate these books.
So
I
that
read them.
yeah, I was just wondering when you were saying that. Sorry to interrupt, but because when you asked the questions, it sounds like your mum didn't say don't ask the questions. She actually gave you a forum to speak. So is that where you think that might have come from? Sorry for interrupting there, but
Yes.
just I want to highlight that point.
Yes. Many things in my life I was deprived of many things, but not of knowledge. My mom is a mathematics and physics professor. She's very intelligent.
Yes.
And she would encourage that.
Right.
As a kid, if we chew the gum, and she is like, okay, enough with gum. And we could only keep chewing the gum if we could explain to her the law of physics, how that works. Also, on the chair, leaning on the chair, like as a kids do, if you can explain how that works, you can continue.
I love it.
We're taking a bath. She's teaching us Archimedes' law. Like we will take a bath and what happens with the water. Like, yeah, she was wild. And I loved that.
By dunking yourself into the bath, you can work out how much volume you have.
She was teaching us all kinds of things. She made physics very interesting to me.
Yeah. So
She really
you had, like most children, you had a natural curiosity. I would say all children are curious, but your mum encouraged you to learn more. Even if she couldn't answer the question, she gave you a book of books that you were able to read.
Yes. Or she would say, read in the book, read to me. She said, she was clever. She would say, oh, I was just wondering about that. Can you find it in a book? I'm a 6 or 7 year old. You don't read fluently. Do you read with following the finger and then you go to this page? And then like half an hour later or 20 minutes later, I lose interest because it's not like a Google. And these are big books you have to go through. So, that's how she dealt with me. And I always felt asking questions is a innocent thing to do, and it's encouraged.
Yeah.
So I did not come controversially to ask questions to my authorities. Why is this or that according to scriptures or not? I did not know I was being controversial.
Yeah.
I was just curious, and I was a naive. Remember, I believe I can stop the war with my faith.
Yes.
So I was so naive that I believe that what we are doing here is according to scriptures. And if I read this and I see that, I ask, because I trust you. You saved my life. I trust everyone. This is awesome. Look, I have food here. People nobody yelled at me ever. How is this cool? Suddenly nobody yells. How beautiful. Yeah, so I felt very safe to ask my weird questions. Yeah.
How did that step forward, though? Because you started asking questions, as you say, that were a bit controversial. So no doubt that then started to get shut down by the sounds of it, and saying, you shouldn't be asking questions.
Yes, they sometimes answer politically correct answer.
Right.
Sometimes they would tell me, "Oh, because you don't understand the higher knowledge of spiritual understanding, blah blah."
You don't
but
get
exactly, you're not on my level.
Yeah.
You're not blessed to see the eyes. You're not blessed with the eyes to see the truth. Or you are too stuck in. They're very elegant answers. If you want to justify your crappy behavior, you can.
Definitely.
There's so many elegant answers that sound politically correct, but they are scientifically inaccurate.
Yeah, they'll use. I'm old enough to. I'm older than I look, but I'm old enough to remember the tech bubble in a different sort of scenario where people talking about tech companies, and you go, "Can you explain that?" And go, "Well, you just don't get it." It's like, well, it's going to crash in this similar sort of scenario. I want to get to the other part of that question. Is you're very inquisitive, and you can see now where you got that inquisitive nature from. Your mum encouraged. I mean, all kids have that. Your mum encouraged that, so you kept to develop that. What about the courage side of things, to keep asking the question in face of, as you say, they were saying, you just don't get it, but you were like, well, I want to get it. Tell me, where did that courage come from?
I think it was from naivety, that I trusted you are here for me, so I can ask you.
So you didn't feel a threat to asking the question. It was you were just constantly looking for the answer.
Not at the beginning. If I would ask in a group, after a while, because I had a question every day. So after a while, when I would raise my hand, they would dismiss, okay, we gotta go. They would not let me answer, or not let me ask. But later, they would move me a lot. I would go on a little mission at work.
Right.
So I went from Croatia to Germany. And then in Germany, they moved me from one place to another a lot.
Is that part of that same group that you were with?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, so you're part of the group in Croatia, they moved you to Germany. So every time you got to a point where they gave up asking and trying to answer the question, they move you somewhere else. Is that the case?
And they moved me to the point that I remember thinking, I just want to have a friend.
Yeah.
Like I don't stay anywhere long enough to create camaraderie and friendship. And I didn't understand why.
And there was these big shoes that you were fantasizing about as well.
Gosh. Yes, big shoes. Yeah.
So you got to the point where you said, "Okay, I need a friend. I need the big shoes. This is enough for me." And you took that step out. Where did you go to from there? What was the next step moving forward?
I went back home to my mom. That's all I knew.
Yeah.
So it was really weird.
So what was that like?
Really, oh my gosh. So now imagine, before I left, it was Yugoslavia, communistic Yugoslavia.
Yeah.
In the history of inflation, this was the second highest inflation in the world, 1,000% or 4,000% a year, or a day, a day, or some crazy numbers. Yeah. I remember, I was a billionaire.
Yeah.
I was a billionaire with the B. Everybody was a billionaire.
Yes.
For a billion, you get a T.
Yes.
Really good T, but billion, where's the T?
Yeah.
So I'm a billionaire that can buy a tea for $1 billion.
Yeah.
And I go away. I don't see men. I don't see money. I don't watch TV. I don't listen to radio. I don't know anything. I don't see money for years.
Yeah.
And now I come out and I'm like, what can you buy for 100 dinars or whatever it was at the time? Can you buy a bubble gum or a house? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know anything. Like I had zero skills of this world.
Yeah.
Like my formative years, I spent waking up at 3:30 in the morning, praying and, you know, focusing on God and really feeling incredibly good about spiritual path, but knowing nothing about how to function in this world. Yes. Yeah. So this is coming out. It's like, wow, what do I do with this, with that? Like I didn't know anything.
How old were you?
So
20-ish?
21. 21. Yeah. So what happened is during the war, my brother and his generation, he was like a 4.5, 5 years older than me. Okay. So all of these men are now 26, 27. They were military or not military. They were soldiers protecting Croatia. Many were dead. Terrible things happened. Yep. So I come out and they all knew that I was a virgin. Girls who stayed, they were doing the service for the country and helping soldiers, of course, right? Yeah. And I was untouched. So suddenly I have this 7, 8, 9 guys asking me out all the time. Those my brother's friends who remember me as a little Helena. I was like maybe 14, 15 when they were coming to meet my brother. And then, now I'm 21. I look like a woman, kind of more than when I left. I was very flat-chested, crooked teeth. Like I had, I just looked dorky. Like I never had this, hey, baby in me. So they are asking me out all the time. So I go out with them and they want to kiss me. And I, no, thank you. Even though I want to kiss, but this was not romantic enough for my fantasy. This one was the most persistent. And when he realized nothing will happen, he said to me, did Mark ask you out, and John and Frank and whatever the names of these guys in Croatian? I said, yes. How do you know? He said, we all put 100 down. Who gets you first gets the money. I didn't know if I should be crying from misery or flattered to understand the power of female body. Yeah. How badly men want it. But they put me I was like, only 100? Put 100 for me? You guys crazy.
You can get a tea for $1 billion. What the hell?
Well, yeah. The price of a tea. So yeah, that was very interesting. How coming out, facing the real life was really interesting for me.
And what was it like coming home to your mum? I mean, spending time with your mum, because how long? It'd been 16, so 5 years. And it's not like today where we have mobile phones and all those kind of things where you stay in contact with each other. So I imagine there wouldn't have been a lot of contact with your mum. What was that relationship like when you come back to see your mum?
Very sweet.
Yeah.
Very sweet. Very sweet.
You sound like you have a really amazing connection with your mum.
Well, right now I'm coaching her. Now I see what she didn't know to teach us. Yeah. She knew she had a very high IQ, but not very high EQ
Yeah.
to show me how to stand up for myself, to show me how to say no, to show me how to reclaim my power. She didn't know any of these things.
Mm.
So when? Maybe I was 23 or 4 when we officially changed the roles.
Yeah.
I am your daughter, but you are my client.
Really?
Your daughter, and I'm your coach. Yeah.
Is that where?
Because
Sorry, go ahead.
you say.
I was going to say, is that where the start of what you're doing now became? Is like from
No, no, no.
no.
No, the start it began in a refugee camp.
Right.
When I had my third awakening and
Yeah.
I realized I'm part of the problem, I also wanted to be part of solution. And solution was love.
Yeah.
How do I love? How do I love people? And I learned those skills back then. This was the time and the space when we learned how to function in this world.
Yeah.
Like really effective. I don't think modern education or a modern world is teaching us how to function in the world. We know how to do academia. We don't know how to function when there is a conflict, when there is a opportunity to choose humility and kindness, when there is a choice to take a higher ground. We prefer to be right instead of to rebuild a connection. So a lot of these things I learned early. And I was teaching because we had refugees and all kinds of people around we were helping. So I pretty much started coaching at the age of 16.
Right.
Like, I know it sounds weird, but that's how I started.
Yeah. That's
You
interesting.
know how you have one skill and then you just want to teach others?
Yeah, yeah.
But one skill that I had was like so precious. And I would just show this to this person and that person, and then I would learn another skill. And slowly I don't know how to do anything else but coach. I literally don't know anything but coaching.
That's really, from what you're talking about, fascinating in the sense of, because when we look at today's world, we're more connected than ever in history, especially with our social media and phones and all the stuff that we've got. Yet we feel more alone than ever in history. Do you think that is part of that reason, as you're saying, that we're not connecting properly? It's just superficial, and you say there's need to be right. Is that part of the problem, do you think?
We are in illusion that we are most connected than ever been. We are most disconnected that we have ever been.
Right.
The phone and Zoom and all of this, you and I now feel connected, right? I feel our chemistry and we are really cool with each other.
Yeah.
However, if we don't nurture this and learn to use our connection IQ and reach to each other and have maybe every once in a while meet or social media connection or something, if we don't nurture that, it will just fizzle.
Yeah.
And we do have ability to reconnect because we are on the same phone. But in the heart, we are not doing what heart craves.
Right. What do you think?
Heart wants continuation.
Yeah.
That you gave me thumbs up, or what happened here? Heart wants continuation. Heart wants approval. Heart wants the engagement. Heart wants to be seen. Those things are not going to be done through social media.
Do you think part of that connection, when you say don't, because you're talking about what the heart wants and having that connection, and you mentioned it, and the part that stood out for me was, again, this need to be right, and I'm paraphrasing a little bit what you've said, but do you think that, because I think the connection that we have is, I know you're listening to me when I'm talking to you, and I feel that I'm listening to you when you're talking to me. Do you think that that is where the disconnect happens. We're too busy in social media putting our point of view across, but not really listening to what the other person has to say. Or if it's slightly different from what we expect, we then denounce it rather than going, what's really going on there? Because and I'm just wondering if that taps into the inquisitive nature you had from when you were younger, that that this connection that you're able to create with people is because of the listening. And it's something that I wonder about a lot is it as simple as listening, really listening to someone as opposed to voicing your own opinion?
It is one part.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely what you said, it's absolutely that. I want to be heard. I'm so hungry to be heard. Listen to how smart I am. Let me ask ChatGPT to say something smart so I'll post it over there and give me the likes because it's me. We are so hungry, right? Because we don't get it and we don't know how to give it. We just know, I'm hungry. Like sunburned people. You and I are very white. We can get sunburned, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have two colors.
I can, yes. I'm just
busy. Me too sometimes.
And we didn't have the summer here this year, so I didn't get to get out in the sun. So.
Okay. Yeah, but we normally have a color like
can burn, definitely.
Albino or a lobster, two shades of right. So when you're sunburned, and you feel the need for connection and you want a hug. The moment you get a hug, the hug will hurt.
Yeah.
But you want it.
Yeah.
But then, because I don't know I'm sunburned, I will blame you that you give me painful hugs. I will blame you. You don't love me. Yeah. I don't know I'm sunburned. I just know I need a hug.
Yes.
So on social media, I need a hug. Oh, here is the hug. Oh, yeah. But it feels so empty because then I need more and then I need more. So that's one part of the problem. Another part is you have this phone in your hand and you constantly feel you connected to everyone all the time.
Yeah.
It's illusion. You are not connected to anyone. You just have the path on which if you post, oh, look at my fancy dinner, people will say, wow, or whatever. And you will try to feel, but that phone is nothing. This is the same thing like I believed I have heart. But my heart is full of hatred. Your phone is full of apps. Big deal.
Yeah.
It's nice to have it if you need to call, like, hey, delivery pizza or whatever, right? But it's not giving you what you actually need. And you don't have skill to nurture that. And we don't want to develop skills to nurture it because it's so scary.
Yeah, because I was wondering how much of that ability to fulfill that need is actually liking yourself. Because you went through this process that you talked about of hatred and I from what I'm gleaning from that was that you learnt to like yourself and like who you were. And once you like yourself, then you can actually, you're okay. You don't need the approval of others so much for your life. I mean, and I'm putting that in context of how I approach things because I like what I'm doing and I'm okay with it. And someone else doesn't like it, tough luck. I don't need someone to tell me that it's okay. I'm happy with it, and I believe I'm doing the right thing. And I in my heart care a lot about people, and I like myself a lot. So I believe I'm operating from a pure intention. That's separate from behaviors. Sometimes I mess it up and I'll say the wrong thing and I'll do something that might, it might not be the best behavior. But if I do that, I recognize that it's not me as a person, it's just a behavior and I can change that. How much do we need to go through that process to actually to like ourselves to then be able to connect with other people?
I don't believe it's a process or something really woo-woo difficult.
Yeah.
It's a presence in this moment right now.
Yeah.
Right now, at this moment, Do you know how many parallel realities and possibilities reside right here with us? Possibility to say anything we want in any language we can use.
Yes.
Possibility to be quiet, possibility to close eyes, possibility to fall down, possibility to jump, possibility to dance, possibility to do this, to do that. We can do so much.
Yeah.
If we are choosing to do what we are doing, maybe on autopilot, maybe because that's a polite thing to do. Yeah. Listeners can now turn it off, can right now spin around, can jump around, can do so much is possible at any given moment. So when you deal with yourself, if you put a moment of mindfulness right now, what do I really want? What would really support me? My higher well-being. Just like everybody knows, I need to lose weight. I should just eat right and exercise. Whatever that means, we don't do it. And choosing to love yourself and like yourself and care for yourself, it's this 1 second decision. One little, not a big deal decision.
Yeah.
Right now. And when I remember for me in the war, it was like, I'm part of the problem. And the problem was because I had nothing to do in a refugee camp. Nothing. Yeah. I had all the time to think. And it's grueling to think. There was no video games, nothing. Like imagine you're just stuck with the ugly, sharp military blankets in a cold little room in which these refugees smoke and swear and cry and freak out and listen to stupid radio that tells you all the terrible news. It was a programming for something, and I didn't want to be programmed for death because that was part of the problem. I came from there.
Right.
You see?
Yeah.
So I had to swim upstream, and it was fun. So this is also the journey to swim upstream. Like, yes, I know this is easier, but this is right. I know this is legal, but this is right.
Yeah.
Look, when I see in America, people go in the store and look at the clothes and then drop it there. And I'm like, why? Oh, it's somebody's job to... What? People put their carts, shopping carts, anywhere on the parking lot. They don't bring it back. Oh, because somebody's paid to do that. But can you live with your own morality? I don't need to do that, but it's a right thing to do. A little bit stoicism mixed with a little bit of how do I value me and want to create a higher posture? It's almost like you can think about hyenas, how hyenas behave. And just like attack and do whatever and steal. They don't even know how to hunt properly. They go around the lion and steal lion's meat and Lion has a different posture.
Yeah.
Right? It's about the posture. Do you want to be the little hyena that just goes easy, make it all easy, and then blames it? No, he did it. No, poor me. I was a hyena. The mentality is a hyena mentality.
Yeah.
Hyena cannot lose. Hyena cannot admit I am a loser here. Lion is bigger and lion kicked my butt.
Yeah.
No, hyena will say, lion is bigger and attack me little, of course. Right? A lion, if lion gets attacked by a bunch of hyenas, lion would say, like, they were better than me. They were stronger, more of them. Good job. I need to watch out.
Yeah.
And that change of posture, how do you change your posture? Who you want to be in this jungle called life?
Yeah.
I just use the example of a lion, but I actually prefer a tiger.
Yeah.
Because tiger hunts, in a lion society, lion is hunts. and a lion is like, feasting off. But in a tiger community, tiger hunts and tigress and children eat first.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, yeah. Even though lions are more community-based, tigers are more separate, more individuals.
Yeah.
But when they have babies, the tiger will go and bring home the kill and
Right.
keep it last.
So very family orientated.
Yeah, a smaller family, not such a big group of not a big tribe like lions.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, so you at the animal kingdom, and you learn how do I want to be. The cuckoo bird.
Mm-hmm.
Cuckoo bird puts her egg in somebody else's bird nest.
Yes.
And flies away. Okay, you take care of my baby. Bye.
Yeah.
I don't want to be that. It's easier. Easier. She doesn't have to fly around and feed the little bird. She doesn't have to do anything. Just has sex, puts an egg, and goes away. I don't want to do that. I want to have a harder life, but worth living.
Yeah. Is it harder though? I mean, because as a parent myself, I've never found parenting hard. And I was a single parent for a long period of time too. I mean, there was challenges, things I needed to do, and there was effort that needed to be put in, but I never viewed it as hard. There's some times where it was difficult because of a number of things that were going on at the time. But does it? And that's the question that I'm wondering a lot is, yes, we have to put in effort, but effort doesn't necessarily have to be hard. It doesn't have to be arduous. And I recital. I mean, because when we think happy, naturally, just by saying that, I could feel it. My body immediately started to produce dopamine, just by that thought, not by doing anything, but just literally, I'm thinking a happy thought. And I know they didn't. I don't believe they knew this back then. But in 1937, when they made the first animated feature-length movie, Snow White. And in Snow White, she sings "Whistle While You Work," and I wonder about that. Whether as much as people may not have understood the biology back then, but they knew if we've got to do something, make it fun. There's a difference between hard and you're talking about in the refugee camp where people are going, oh, it's terrible. They're listening to the news and it's and you didn't do that. And I want to come back to the word you used, choose there, and I'm connecting with that word choose because similar sort of thing. When I used to work with people, I'd ask them, "What do you want?" And they go, "I don't know." And then one day I decided, to whatever reason, I changed the question. Said, "What do you choose?" And I saw light bulbs go off, going, "What do you mean? I've got a choice?" I said, "Yes, you can choose right now." So I'm just wondering where that came from, because I said from my perspective, it was allowing people to realize that they do have the choice, that they can go, okay, it's not what someone might have said I have to do, but it's my choice. It's my life. I can do it any way I want. Where did that come from your perspective? Because I'm tapping into that word choose that you used very specifically.
I actually, before I say that, I want to tell you how much I respect you now, even more.
Okay, thank you. I'm very honored.
Because you are willing to be a single parent as a man. Remember, my father never did anything for me. Like this, just that, like, whoa, how much respect. My heart is full. So beautiful. And I know for most people that's, of course, you should do it. You are a parent. In my experience, father does nothing. Father is there to beat you, to yell, and to, lock you in the house alone or something. The father, I didn't have a concept. This is why I cannot call him dad.
Right. Yeah.
I just say father, it's a sperm donor. That's it. Right. So I respect you for that. And also specifically because you said it was not hard. You cannot even connect to the word hard. You are aware of effort. Yeah. But the word hard in connection to parenting does not exist in your vocabulary. Oh my God. This really is an example of somebody who is alchemizing as you go. Amazing.
Well, thank you. Because it was something from my perspective where we talk about it, and it is always a choice. I mean, certainly from a parent perspective, there was never ever going to be a question in my mind. When sometimes relationships don't work, and that relationship didn't work, but it was never a question. It was like it's 50%, and there's no less. That's just how it was going to be. I would not accept anything else, and I made that very clear from the beginning. But from that side of things, with this ability to choose is where I wanted to tap into from that because you said it happens in an instant, and I believe that as well. I think it's getting ready to change. It's going through all the things that you I think people impose on themselves. Whereas if you let all that go, you can change in an instant. You can go, okay, I'm just going to move forward. And I know I've worked with people. I even had an employee I was going to fire several times because just they weren't performing. And finally it came up that they're actually suffering depression. So immediately I just went there, and I'm not a psychologist. I'm not suggesting everyone just follow this, but it worked in my case. And I said, you and I are working together. This is your job description now. Every morning you wake up, you will write out 5 things you're grateful for. You will do 10 box breaths, and you'll read 10 pages of an inspiring book. That is your job description. And within a week, this person was completely transformed, different person completely, and has never gone back. And so, and that's
the gratitude book. And what else? What was the second thing?
The box breaths. So you breathe in, hold.
Oh, breath. Yes.
The box breaths. So yeah. And that's where, because I wonder, and this is where you mentioned again, you could change in an instant if I heard you correctly, and that's why I'm wondering: is it we make our life difficult? Life is not difficult in my mind, because there's simple principles, and I relate this to most people connect with money. So I relate it to the money side of things because if you want to earn money, you add value and you'll earn money. That's a pretty simple principle. It's not difficult to look and go, well, who's got a problem? How can I solve that problem? And or even if you're as an employee, you just go, how can I do that little bit extra to do that? Doesn't mean you have to work harder, you work smarter. And then to have wealth, you keep a little bit of what you earn, you invest that, and you reinvest the income. That's not difficult instructions. But many people don't do it. And relationships the same. I mean, if you understand who you are, and you know what you want in a partner, and then you're comfortable with finding that out, you'll find that partner to be with and have a happy relationship. And if you're communicating with each other, i.e. listening is the key thing. So again, not difficult instructions. And that's why I wanted to come back to this point where you say you can do things in an instant. Is it a case of we make our life difficult because we're holding on to too much baggage and saying, these beliefs are, this is what it is. But if we let go of that, all of a sudden we can change and move forward.
Yeah. And how do you let go? I want to let go. I don't know how. There is so many, life is simple, but cannot be simpler.
Yeah.
When we oversimplify it, we lose the power. You asked before about the choice. I learned that choice comes from awareness and consciousness.
Right.
Everything else is autopilot.
Right.
I often, when I work with my coaching clients and I hear women talk about, oh, my girlfriend or my somebody friend is always dating this alcoholic man and she should just stop dating them. It's her choice to do that. Well, that's not a choice. That's a blueprint.
Yeah.
She's not aware or conscious. She's just doing what's familiar, feels easy, feels how it should be done, because this here, becoming aware and choosing from the place of awareness and consciousness, it's really weird and hard and not possible. So when we choose, it's only because we are aware and conscious. Otherwise, it's autopilot.
Yes.
Another cigarette, another bottle of wine, another whatever. You don't even know how it happened. Like when you're driving, how did you get to here? I don't even remember. I do it every day.
Yeah.
That was not your choice. I guarantee there was zero choice, zero awareness, zero consciousness, habit.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why we make as many things as habit as we can that are serving us, so that we can use our calories that we have left. We can use our calories for things that we want to improve with our awareness and consciousness.
Yeah. I love that when you're talking about awareness and consciousness, because habit, we operate unconsciously. Most of what we do, action is an unconscious function. You cannot operate. If you pick up a glass off the table with a drink in it, you cannot consciously think of all the muscles you have to move. Action is an unconscious function. And I know from my perspective, I went through a lot of process of succeeding, failing, and that kind of thing, and doing repetitive behaviors out of habit. And the way I changed that, and this is why I talk about choose as well, was I didn't worry about trying to analyze the past and work out, why do I do all this? Why is all that? All I said was, I want this in the future, and focused on one thing. And that was my focus. And very quickly that changed. And once that became a new habit, moved on to something else. So I didn't have to go through this deep process of reliving and journeys and stuff like that. That was how I did it. And I'm just wondering, am I unique in that, or is it something anybody can do? Can anybody just go, okay, I had this shitty stuff happen in the past. I'm actually going to look forward now. And what I want is, you mentioned the person that's dating someone who's an alcoholic. Well, I want to date someone that's going to respect me. And it's like a smoker. When we talk about someone, and I've smoked and quit smoking anytime I wanted, but the reason I could quit smoking was I didn't say I want to quit smoking, because your mind cannot not think about something, as you're aware. I said I want to breathe, and I use these words specifically, I want to breathe clean air. And as soon as I said that, I didn't have any more cravings for smokes. I just stopped.
But because you had so many, you had a big capacity of calories saved for that. If you can say that I want to breathe clean air, but I'm feeling emotional stress because I just got fired, and with cigarette I feel a little better.
Yes.
So the desire to breathe clean air is there, but the stress is so much more. So I already have, let's say, 20 calories left. And to breathe a fresh air requires 30 calories.
Yeah.
Grab a cigarette habitually requires only 2. I'm just going to do what's easier. Often we just do what's easier, that autopilot, that it's just easier. We have no capacity.
And that's what I was wondering from that side of things, where we go, okay, that autopilot, that becomes a habit. And that exact experience is what I've had in the past, in that sense where I was, in a stressful situation, wanting to have a cigarette, because that's how change of state, cigarette does that. And I went, okay, I'm going for a run, because I want to be healthy, was my focus. I want to, and that was the thing. I want to, that was my priority.
And you have enough calories for it at the moment.
Yeah.
You have your capacity.
Calories, how do we make that stronger?
Oh, that's art. So it's created in the moment. Like, let's say you are waiting in a traffic, you are waiting in a store, you are waiting, doing nothing, wasting your time. And you noticing your mind getting wilder. If you just really at that time, that was a big word. At that time, when you just would jump on that autopilot, one moment longer, one moment inward awareness, that's how you start building those calories. When there is that moment that is just fullness, and I become aware of this 1 second, that I can use it to be here, or I can use it to complain, because that's what my mother and father and my whole generation did. I'm going to be here still. With this moment, I'm not changing anything. Just like if I'm complaining that this line is too long and the lady in front of me is taking too much time finding her little coins, instead of paying with a card like me and just go fast. I don't have time to do, right? The very different posture. Choosing a hyena posture on autopilot, or doing a hyena posture, or choosing a lion posture, tiger posture at the moment. That's what builds calories. Like when I'm at the gym and I do like a bench press and I just hold my weight and I look at my arms and I start feeling like they're shaking. And I just watch and I'm like, wow, this is fascinating. Can I do one more second? One more, just one more. How much more I can go? Because that's that one moment.
Yeah.
I can totally stop and be like, I did great. But that one moment is I'm expanding my capacity to store more calories. So if now one day costs me, let's say 100 calories, but my capacity is only 50 calories, I'm expanding my comfort zone. I'm not getting out of it. I'm expanding it. So now my capacity, it cost me 100 calories to spend in a day, but my capacity now is not 50, it's 75.
Yeah.
My day is easier. My day is better. And then if I expand my container for 100 calories, I'm good.
Yeah.
I start the day with 100, I end with 0, I'm good. But what if I can expand to 150? Then I can see you who is struggling in that line and you complaining behind me how, this lady. And then I can just say, hello, sir. If you're in a hurry, do you want to go in front of me? Because I'm content. Do you want to be content with me? And that's an opportunity. We can start regulating, connecting, sharing, right? But that capacity is inner job. This is our ability, our posture.
It sounds like, if I'm understanding correctly, that it's something that you actually build on. The more you do it, the better you get at this. And it's just you're saying increasing your calories, being able to have this energy to draw upon, because it becomes an increasing habit. The more you do it, the better you're going to get at it, like anything. Is that my understanding correctly?
Exactly. Yes, exactly.
Let's talk.
And some days you will have no calories.
Yeah.
You will act like a complete idiot out of your own standard for yourself, but because that's all you got. Like when I'm on PMS, if I'm cold, PMSy, hungry, and I didn't sleep, watch out. My husband says, ooh, the tiger is out, but not a good tiger. She's going to eat me. Sometimes he comes from a distance. Are you cold? Are you desperate? Are you hungry? Shall I throw food at you? Like, because I have no calories. This is like depletion of my calories. And if you know yourself, what do you need? I know when I come on my podcast, I have my tea. This is what I need for myself. Right? I need a couple of things. I need open window. I need fresh this. This is what I need to function.
Yeah.
My higher self. In my lower self, I maybe need, I don't know, a cigarette.
I talk about that from that side of things, how you know yourself, because from my perspective, it's very similar. I don't have bad days. I don't have PMS, so I can't relate to that. But I know from my side of things,
good for you.
I literally do not have bad days where I can't remember the last day. I used to, long time ago, but now I know if I'm starting to feel, and this is how I've trained myself, if I'm starting to feel something's depressing or anything like that, or starting to get me down, I go, well, A, one, it's my thoughts, and B, all I have to do is whistle while I work. Or in Mary Poppins talked about, in every job that must be done, there's an element of fun. Find the fun and snap. The job's a game. So
full of sugar.
Exactly, soon full of sugar. And so from that perspective, from I said, I not only haven't had a bad day, every day is an empowering day because that's how I approach it. It's like, what is empowering about my day today? What was awesome about my day today? The questions that I ask myself. And I remind myself of that. And when something doesn't go the way I'd planned, that doesn't mean it went wrong. It just means I have something to learn. Okay, what did I learn? And so, and I was just wondering, is that, building, when you talk about calories, is that, putting it into that context, that's something I'm trying to work out how to connect what I've done to what you're doing so people can actually replicate that. And it's, I think it's awesome to be me because I just have these amazing days and everything's great and fantastic. Does that mean I don't have problems? No, they happen. And it's like, how do I solve this? How do I do that? That's exciting. How can I make that a challenge? How can I do that? And I was just wondering, how do we connect that to calories? How do we build those calories up so that a person can do that? Because for me, it's not an effort.
You see, you did it. When you said I had bad days,
Yeah.
not anymore. So your container is bigger, and now you can hold 500 calories, but you only need 100 a day. So you can always give more to other people.
Yeah.
Your life does not. Paris Hilton, when she breaks her nail, she may go, drama queen, I broke my nail.
Yeah.
Somebody can lose a house and be like, oh, okay, let's see what's next.
Yeah.
Right? It's all based on your calorie container and what's inside. So you obviously expanded your container, you filled it up, and now you have calories from long, long, long ago. Aged calories, those are the best.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm wondering about this whole listening component, and I'm exploring this as we're talking. This is just popping into my head, so this is brand new. Is it because I always believe that the universe, the energy is energy. It exists. You can't get rid of it. You can't destroy it. You can't create it. The energy is there. It just changes shape. Now, from our perspective, if we are receptive to the energy that's there, we don't have to do anything. It doesn't take any effort. I'm just thinking this out loud as we're talking. So, and maybe that's when I talk about what I'm doing. It's just like I'm just allowing the energy that's there to be in this form that I choose it to be. Coming back to that word choose, I choose this energy, whatever's happening, to be there. And I have a philosophy that I draw from Shakespeare, but I think it's also written in the Bible as well. But in Hamlet, they talk about nothing is good or bad, or Shakespeare wrote, nothing is good or bad, thinking makes it so. So to me, an event is an event. I'm very clear about where I want to go. So when something happens, it's like, okay, how do I use that to get where I want to go? It's not, oh, why did that happen? Or, all these things. It's like an event. It's just an event. It's not good or bad, because if you think something's good, it has to have a bad. So I'm moving beyond I don't want to use the word beyond, just thinking differently that there isn't a good or bad. That's just a label. There is.
So what happens with you, you are not on a hyena level. You are not even on a lion level. You are a giraffe.
Okay.
Big neck, big perspective.
Yeah.
Calm demeanor.
Yeah.
Lion's demeanor is high. Giraffe's demeanor is, I'm looking from above. I can see everything, have a clearer picture, bigger aperture of what she can receive through life, or Mr. Giraffe, right? You are there. You are watching it, and it doesn't faze you.
Yeah.
If you think giraffe doesn't really have enemies unless babies, right?
Yeah.
Nobody wants to attack giraffe, humans only. But natural enemies, not even lions are really going to try to catch a giraffe. Demeanor. It still has her little spots, may look like a hyena or a tiger, right? There's still something it's like a life is there happening. But perspective is so much more gracious. And that's what you did. And the fact that you are asking almost in every question, you are asking, how can we help people with that? How can people do that? You have this bigger philanthropic desire because your capacity is so full. You have so many calories that you are willing to share them. But you are wise. You don't want to throw them nowhere. You're not leaking your energy. You want to share. The sharing is your motto, not a leak.
Yeah. Interesting. Just wanted to explore because it was popping into my head as we were talking. I want to talk about too the work that you do, and we've gone on a lot of discussions here, and I'd love to have future discussions with you about that. There's so much more to explore, but I do want to get, and we are these can go for a little while. But I want to talk about the work that you do and the programs that you have, because you have a number of programs here. You talk about a healing apology formula, gold digging, which is an interesting one. Crickets in the bedroom, no more. Do you want to talk through a couple of your programs and the work that you're doing? This is the part of the podcast where we're getting into a bit of product placement. So feel free to tell us about the work you do, and we'll get into how people contact you, that kind of thing.
Well, then I would love to talk about my essential first step program.
Right.
Is a love glitch matrix.
Right.
It's free as a download, available on helenasummer.com/matrix.
Mm-hmm.
Very simple. It's a matrix that shows you 5 reasons why you have any and all relationship problems or life problems in that matter too.
Yeah.
There are only 5 that I found.
Yes.
And the matrix basically shows you how to use your brain to draw the simple, super simple matrix and go through it. And I guarantee you, it will at least save you calories, if not expand your capacity for your container so you can hold more calories.
Right.
It's any love glitch, any question, why? Why does she do this? Why is he not listening to me? Why is she ghosting me? Why are we always fighting? Why we have crickets in our bedroom? Why? Any problem, you put it in the matrix in a very specific, very simple, super simple, takes a minute to do. But first you kind of read through everything what I presented in a PDF to learn what are those 5 reasons, how to gauge each one of them. And then you pretty much, in the process of doing it, you will develop bigger capacity to hold yourself, to hold your opponent, to make them a partner instead of opponent. You will see life in a wiser way. You will deepen your truth. It's so good. It's essential. It's first step for anything. And that's the very first step, love glitch matrix. Any glitch you have, any glitch, put it in the matrix and just you will free yourself from, it's all my fault, like I was. You will completely free yourself from hyena mentality. You will know and see the giraffe is available. Do you want to take it?
Yeah.
It's up to you. And the more you put things through matrix, the bigger your container becomes.
Awesome. That sounds like an amazing program. We'll put the link for that in the show notes.
HelenaSummer.com/matrix. Yeah.
I love that. And so from that perspective, from the coaching side of things, how do people work with you? Is it one-on-one? Do you do group sessions? Do you want to talk about that?
One-on-one is my forte.
Yeah.
One-on-one, because I'm so personalized, personable. I love customized, personalized solutions for each person I work with. Wow. I do groups too. We just now, the Crickets in a Bedroom program is now running. It has to start again, right? For the next, so far it's closed. It's only for Crickets in a Bedroom is just for women who want to have more sex and love, but they don't. But private sessions, sometimes in a very short time, we can solve incredible problems and make things so much better with who you become as a person, with how you deal with life, how you position yourself, and what you do with your partner. So I work with men, with women, I work with high achievers, I work with lots of people. Hollywood, I work with business owners. Yeah, so it's I work with the mayor, with different people. So it's really fascinating. And I welcome people to come and take just a little love and connection assessment with me,
Mm.
just to see where we stand,
Yeah.
right? Like if they like me. I'm not everybody's cup of tea because I'm a billion dollar tea.
Love that. That's so great. All right, we'll put all those details in the show notes. Helena, before we go, do you want to? I'd like you to share. What are your key wisdom or wisdoms? What would you like the audience to take away? What if there was something that they could take away? If they could just take that and instill it in their life, that would be a transition for them. What would be the advice that you would give them? What would you give them to take away?
Dig the gold. Dig the gold. Everybody dig the gold. We want to become gold diggers.
Yeah.
And it's not what you think. The gold digging is when you dig 3 golds every day from your partner. 3 golds from anything that bugs you. If you're single, 3 golds from yourself. 3 golds from male race, female race, whatever. Meaning 1 gold about your partner's character, who he is.
Yeah.
1 gold about who he is to you. And 1 gold about who he is in the world. The world meaning everything beyond him and me. So it's like just his character, personality traits, values that you find golden, us, and the whole world. That way you're opening your heart, you're expanding your capacity, you're growing your calories, and everybody likes to hear something good about them.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Everybody likes. But it has to be genuine. You cannot ask ChatGPT to come up with 3 goals. No.
Yeah.
You come with each other and connect and say, you know what? When you invited me for podcast and I saw how diligently you wrote all of these things and prepared very beautifully, I realized that this is your mission. You really like doing this. You are organized. You are specific. You are very creative. This is just your goal about your character. And to me, you're giving me that. And I feel like I could totally be your best friend. Like you are so easy to like, so easy. And look what you are doing for the world. You really are the gold in this world. You really are. And this is not me like digging the gold, because it genuinely is how I train my mind to see people. And then you can trust life.
That's amazing. I love that. Love that so much. I accept the compliments as well, but I love that principle of digging the gold and finding those 3 things. That's so awesome. It's amazing.
It's what you do with your employee when you told him to find what he's grateful for. Basically, you ask him to dig the gold.
Yeah. Yeah. That's amazing.
He's not grateful for gold.
Is it? It's the instructions are fairly simple. I love that. That is so powerful. Helena Summer, it has been an absolute joy and pleasure. I'm so honored for you to share with me and to the audience as well. But I certainly had a wonderful connection with you, and it's been amazing. Thank you for taking the time to be on the show.
Thank you for inviting me. I really appreciate you.
Thank you for being part of the eSHAIR.care community and helping people around the world prosper. You're creating a bigger pie for everyone to share. The more people contributing to the world being a better place, the better the world becomes, for others and for you.